All right, everybody, welcome back to another adventure on our bikes. This one's a little bit different. We're going to be shooting it with a voiceover, but let me speed up this footage right here to get us to our starting point, which will be Yonge and Sheppard. And on today's tour, what we're doing is we're going to follow from Sheppard, Yonge Street South, all the way down to Lake Ontario, just for fun, just to have another great day out there. The video will slow back down once we hit Yonge Street, and it'll be a more acceptable speed. Also, today I am with Kevin. You can hear him there. Kevin, hello.
Hello. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, this was awesome. Now it's slowed down over here, so we've already started the tour on the way down. And what was this, Yonge and Eglinton here? Where were we?
Sheppard. Sheppard just
sorry.
401.
401.
Now, one of the good things here is Yonge Street is a super busy, one of the busiest streets in Toronto, one of the streets with the most history in Toronto, and realistically, probably not the safest street to take a bike ride on during the week or especially in rush hour. So this trip itself is actually early morning on a long weekend, just to get out there and try to beat the crowds. As you can see, there's still quite a few cars out from the sun. It's about 9 a.m. But either way, better than the crowds, and should be a fun ride down as we pass the 401.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about this ride. It wasn't very busy for pedestrian traffic, being as early as we were, and it was a little cooler. What would you say? It was maybe 10 degrees at this time?
I think it was a little below 10 when we started, but by the time we got back, it was above it for sure in the double digits, which was nice. However, following behind you with my bike, I'm working my butt off the whole way, so I forgot it was cold within the first 3 minutes of pedaling.
Yep, there we go. Following this ride, some interesting facts. This is one of the oldest streets and was constructed in 1794. Yeah, I just wikied that. And one other thing, Casper. It's not the longest street in the world.
It used to be until the late 90s when electronic maps started coming out and it was rerouted away from the Trans-Canada. This street was actually a gift from Simcoe to Yonge back in the late 1700s there. And at that point was the main artery connecting the Great Lakes to the big lakes up north.
Interesting comment about Simcoe because he was the Minister of War, apparently. So interesting choice as a gift to a Minister of War.
That hill we just went up was actually the longest hill of the whole ride. It is a battery killer over at York Mills. The rest of the ride, theoretically, you're going down in elevation, but there are a few dips and dives along the way.
At the top of that hill was a McDonald's, so anyone interested in knowing that, you can always have a little rest break there. And interesting fact, I counted all the McDonald's along the new Yonge Street, which is only 56k long, because it ends at Highway 11 or something like that because of the name change. Anyway, there's 18 of them from the GTA up to Simcoe County.
So theoretically, if you stopped at every McDonald's, you can't burn enough calories riding your bike to account for the food you eat there.
If you can make it past the third one without throwing up. There goes our sponsorship. Edit that out. We want McDonald's sponsoring us on this.
That's too funny. Yonge Street also has a lot of old heritage buildings and cool sights when you're going along the way. For someone like me that grew up in Toronto, every time I go down Yonge, it's just amazing how much it has changed. But then we hit those old heritage buildings and you just remember the old Toronto. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that was cool. You know, this is the catch about our bike ride, because on one hand, there's the thrill of riding down Yonge Street and amongst all the chaos of construction and the boardwalks and all the stuff you see here. And, I felt very focused on that. So I missed a lot of actual looking around of the scenery to see all these historic places. So I'd like to do this someday, another time where it's not sort of mission to the lake from the top of the city.
Well, count me in. I think that'd be a great idea. We actually just passed Eglinton, which is a main intersection along Yonge Street. It's often referred to as the uptown downtown because of the tall buildings there. A lot of life, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. After COVID and given how many patios are on the street like this, I wonder how many will remain because there were so many jet outs. That was pretty neat.
We could already see the difference. It just doesn't have the same, even on a Sunday morning, doesn't have the same lifespan. By the way, where we cut the clip there and stopped was a city-owned bicycle pump for your tires. If you pause the video, you
Yeah,
can just
that's
see for a
great.
second. I've never seen that before, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Another one along the Humber Trail like that and Lakeshore Trail, and it's great. I mean, I've seen one with a pump, a bunch of tools, and just all obviously steel cable tied, but how great.
I think that's amazing. Like I said, I've never seen those before, but it could really come in handy if needed, rather than having to go pay for air now. Some gas stations charge you like $2.50 nowadays for free air.
One of my favorite parts because of the narrowness of the bike path and then onto the boardwalks for the patios. I was flying through there like one of those Brazilian downhill mountain rides where you're going through the favelas with only an inch on either side of the handlebars. It kind of felt like that.
I must say,
I suppose.
I had to hit the brake in a few spots here with my bike. I just didn't think I could do that quick zigzag like right there. But it did work out pretty good. I don't remember these always being here, so I'm assuming they're fairly new.
Yeah. Speaking of brake pads and brakes and whatnot, I found that my brakes were way more responsive at this time of the morning, which was interesting. And the same thing for our most recent bike ride early in the morning. Remember I was saying I was having problems with the hydraulic brakes being too mushy. But I guess given how cold it was, it was working really well. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I have a whole different problem. I changed my brake pads and I decided to cheap out and just buy them off Amazon. My first brake pads, I probably got 1,500 kilometers out of them, where these ones I'm changing every second or third run now. I had 8 sets when I ordered them 2.5 months ago. I think I'm down to 2 sets now. It's almost every bike ride I'm changing them out because they're just burning out. So if you're using e-bikes and going at the speeds, it's worth the money to buy the better pads, that's for sure.
That's interesting because you know what? I confess I bought like a 15-pack off AliExpress, figuring, you know what, doesn't matter, I'll burn through a pair each ride, who cares? And right now I've been using these as my second only brake pads ever, and they've been kind of holding up all right each time I check them out. So maybe you could drop a link to that because they seem to be half decent if you don't want to pay, 20 times the cost for OEM labeled ones.
Which is usually the problem. As long as I can stop, I don't care what I'm using. As long as I feel safe and not going to go flat out full speed into a wall, I'm pretty happy. This is Dundas Square to our left, which is a really known area for protests, ceremonies, concerts, and 24 hours of gathering. And across the street to our right is the Eden Center here, which is an old mall that's 5 stories or so inside, and it has been here for as long as I could remember. It predates me, I believe.
Yeah, that was neat. And I hear you mentioned Dundas Square. That is pretty much our Times Square equivalent, really, isn't it?
It is. It is. But in the off season at nighttime, not a place I'd want to hang out. And we got our buses over here. We're getting pretty close. There's I don't see the name of it now, but I guess it used to be the Sony Center, and it's changed names.
Oh yeah, we'll come up to it here.
We just passed it here on the left, but it was a pretty popular place for concerts and shows. We just went under the Gardner here, which is the main highway across the bottom end of Toronto as we approach the lake in front of us here.
Waterfront, the Westin Hotel here. So yeah, we pretty much, this is the way down, and now we're kind of going across. Here's a question for you. How did you feel about the ride down? I have to say, I put on all my safety gear. You don't see it, but I have my elbow pads and knee pads under there. I was just thinking, Yonge Street, Uber drivers and deliveries. How did you find it for safety?
Well, to be honest, I also wore all my safety stuff, and I thought, better safe than sorry. However, after doing the ride, it did not feel as bad as I expected, probably because it was the weekend. But as always, you don't have to watch. It's not you that's the issue. It's everyone around you and making sure you're aware of your surroundings and being safe. But overall, at the time of day we went, I thought it was a pretty safe run.
Yeah, I think so. I highly recommend it. I didn't feel like I was going to be sideswiped by any cars or, people honking at the cyclists that they can't stand, sort of thing. It felt great.
Well, we've just about hit the end of this run, made it down to the lake. What a great run that was. Now, we obviously have to get all the way back up, which will be the next video, which will be the Don Mills Trail North as we cut over from here to the east end of the city. But for now, as always, thanks for watching, ride safe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Stay tuned.